Maddie's birthday is tomorrow and her parents want it to be a special one, so they decided to bake a cake themselves. But neither parent knew how to bake, so they searched for recipes and instruction on baking a cake on the internet. They saw a promising review on a certain baking guide and decided to follow it. The guide said to prepare the following ingredients: flour, eggs, butter, sugar, salt, 6.75 grams of baking soda or NaHCO3 and water. They bought the said ingredients from the local supermarket and started baking when they got home. According to the guide, you have to bake the batter at 47 degrees Celsius at standard pressure after mixing everything in a bowl. They were skeptical with the number given, but followed them anyway, thinking that whoever wrote it must be a professional. The batter is now at the oven, but they aren't sure of the possible volume of the cake, if it will meet their target volume of 3 liters to accommodate the number of guests that will attend Maddie's birthday. Can you help Maddie's parents bake the cake and make her birthday a special one? To identify the volume, we can use the formula V is equals to nRT. After baking the batter, Maddie's parents came to a surprise when they realized that the cake turned out to be undercooked. They were upset since they followed the guide and did everything accurately in the recipe. Where did they go wrong? With time almost running out, they decided to retain the recipe and tweak the instructions a bit. They decided to stick with the amount of measurements of the ingredients. Once again, they prepared flour, eggs, butter, sugar, salt, 6.75 grams of baking soda or NaHCO3, and water. In a bowl, they mixed everything up to make the batter. Since the previous batter was undercooked, they thought that maybe there was a problem regarding the temperature of the oven. So they cranked up the temperature of the oven and cooked the batter under 250 degrees Celsius at standard pressure. Will the cake turn out to be perfect this time?
After the batter was baked, Maddie's parents were surprised as the cake now turned out to be overcooked. They were upset since they already did this for the second time. They also exceeded the target volume of the cake, which is only 3 liters.
The parents of Maddie are really having a hard time in making the perfect birthday cake for her. After 2 trials, they just decided to buy some in the cake shop. Upon the making, Mr. Johnny the baker seems like he isn't having a hard time. First off, he decided to prepare all the ingredients needed. After 30 minutes, the cake is perfectly baked. When the couple had the cake already, they are wondering what they did wrong. So they asked Mr. Johnny about the procedure on how to perfectly bake a cake, and immediately he explained that such that the cake batter has a 0.08 mole of NaHCO3 at a constant pressure, assuming that the gas has reached its final volume of 3 liters during the baking process. What do you think is the temperature that Mr. Johnny used to bake the cake? In order to achieve the perfect cake, the temperature should be 180 degrees Celsius. Did you ever wonder how these cakes are made? Well, these cakes undergo the process of baking, wherein the batters are placed in an oven and cooked until it rises and becomes a fluffy product. Flour, eggs, butter, sugar, salt, and baking soda. These are the basic ingredients of a cake. However, the real magic happens because of the baking soda. It releases carbon dioxide that helps the batter or dough rise and become a fluffy product. The air bubbles that you have folded into the mixture during the preparation and the little bubbles of carbon dioxide created by the baking powder have expanded as they are heated in the oven, taking the rest of the cake with it. During the whole process, the pressure of the air inside those bubbles has stayed the same. Although the bubbles of air will expand once heated, the pressure within still remains constant. Well, all these things are possible because of the ideal gas. Its law demonstrates the relationship between gases through the use of the variables pressure, volume, number of moles, are constant, and temperature. It follows the formula PV equals nRT, where P is equal to pressure, V is equal to volume, and is equal to the number of moles. R is the constant 0.08206 with the unit of liter times ATM over Kelvin times mole, and T is the temperature. This formula exhibits a directly proportional relationship within the variables. This law describes how an ideal gas behaves at certain conditions, such as baking a cake. It is known that once a variable increases, the other variables will also increase. In the end, knowing the concept of ideal gas law will be greatly beneficial not only for the students, but also for the others, as it has real-life applications such as cooking. Then there you go. Finally, Daddy Mark and Mommy Rachel realized that baking is not that easy. That in order to bake the perfect cake, the number of moles, pressure, volume, and temperature also varies. Baking is a science as well as an art, and the key to better baking is understanding the chemical forces at play with the use of ideal gas law.